Hello, I'm Matt Ogden, this is Rich Sykes, and
Hiya.
welcome back to By George from Page to Stage. And today, Rich, I believe we're going to be talking about one of the central younger characters, or potentially younger characters, in the show, Chloe.
Yeah, more specifically, the song that Chloe will probably be known for, which she doesn't sing, she narrates.
Oh, right.
It's an odd song. Chloe's become a pivotal character because I've given her an awful lot of the new songs, the songs that weren't part of the musical, but again, someone who can forward the storyline a little.
Yeah.
So she's part of a couple of duets, and she's the first solo voice you really hear within the storyline. She sings a song called "The Queue," which brings us into the musical itself. The one I want to talk about today, though, is a song called "Pump It Out," which is a song that happens early in Act 1, and it's a standalone number really, which is I'm thrilled. I can't wait to see how Neil's going to direct this. But it's set in a Zumba class, and the women, I've been to a lot of Zumba classes. It may not look like it, but I have. I've even hosted a few on cruise ships.
Of course, yes.
And this is where this element comes into it. Because a lot of people who go on cruise ships aren't used to doing Zumba.
Yeah.
And basically, if you do the class too hard, then they will never come back again. So there has to be an easy Zumba.
Yeah.
And that's what this is.
Right.
This shouldn't really be set in Yorkshire. This should be set on a cruise ship. And it's all women. And because this awful body image thing that women really feel they need to... I suppose it's coming to men as well now, but women of a certain age need to stay thin and must stay thin. And it's always frustrated me. So here's a song that really punctures that, and it's about this Nazi of a gym instructor who is just ripping everyone. She doesn't know she's doing it, but she has no filter, and she's talking her mind. And she's seeing these a series of flabby women trying to emulate what she's doing within this class. It's also Victoria Wood is an influence here because she did a routine where she played the gym instructor,
Right.
and she had a step class, and she kept the routine was as she was doing the routine. So that had a measured impact on how this song actually works.
So when you first mentioned Pump It Out to me...
Yeah.
When you initially approached me about would I like to do the podcast with you, and gave me a very brief overview of what the show is about, but obviously I don't know that much. There's the people who've auditioned for the show, they know way more than I do.
Yeah, they should be well versed in it by now. Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously one of the things that you said to me was about Chloe and about this song, and when you told me about it, I pictured Eric Pritt's Call on Me. I saw this kind of big, kind of almost 80s style, like silly costumes.
Yes.
Like, but actually, it sounds like it's going to be a little bit more like Chloe is giving it beans, and she's going to be like, yeah, come on.
Yeah.
And actually, she's not Mr. Motivator because she's trying to teach a load of people who fundamentally aren't gym goers.
That's right.
How to actually lose a bit of weight and burn some energy. And I'm guessing there's a bit of frustration in there for her.
She's an extraordinary character because we've built a ludicrous backstory where this doesn't come up in the show. It's just it's a throwaway line. But she's been a pole dancer. She's travelled and I think. One of the lines, I'm going to misquote my own dialogue here, but one of the lines that Chloe says was, I've been wrapped around a pole in Warsaw, and I've been wrapped myself around a Swede in Dachau, and it's that kind of approach. She has a brilliantly vibrant past which we never get to discover, but yeah, she's there's an element of frustration there certainly. And it comes out in this song because other people are getting married. and so
Right,
she
yeah.
brings her own frustrations into that as well, and has a real pop. And she says, how's he doing? Is he, because he's a bit of a bloater as well, isn't he? Yeah, and she's got that real cutting line, which she has no filter. She doesn't realise she's doing it. There's also a gentleman in this song who is a feature throughout the musical called Clive. Clive is the only man at this Zumba class.
Yeah.
And he's totally ineffectual. And is incredibly socially awkward.
I feel like all of your men in this
Oh,
musical
yeah.
are quite ineffectual.
But Clive is the epitome of it, because no one knows why he's there. And he's...
There is always one though, isn't there? There's always
one.
There's always one that like
Who's
like,
completely
where
out of
they come
place.
from, doesn't have any friends in the circle, or like has just suddenly appeared out
And
of
everyone's
nowhere.
incredibly wary of him, because they're wondering, is he a pervert? Is he a sex pest? What's he going to do? And yet all he's doing is just trying to fit in.
Gets his phone out and they're like, oh, is he going to take a
He's
photo?
going to take a photo.
No, he's actually just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's Clive. And
Right.
Clive is mentioned an awful lot within the song, and as a real whipping boy who's just really good-natured and carrying on, but no, the girls don't trust him at all.
Oh, dear.
So you've got all these characters who aren't really features of the musical, but yet they're in this number, so it stands alone. And Chloe doesn't sing it. As I said, she narrates it. She's got all the talky bits in between. That's incredibly hard for her to do, because she's got to fit these lines into this set pattern. So she can't pause for laughter. Hopefully there'll be laughs, but she can't pause. It's got to rattle through.
She's almost a drill sergeant.
Very much so.
In that scene then.
Yeah.
So obviously you've said she's more narrating it. So I'm assuming that it's the chorus of exercisees
that sing.
that are singing it.
And it's very wordy.
Yeah.
And what I did in order to create the choruses was Google every term connected with Zumba. So they're all Zumba moves.
Or fitness synonyms.
Yeah. Belt it, chance it, Beto, shuffle it. There's I don't know any of these because I don't do it. And all these names, these weird names, and I've slipped in references to camel toes, and it's vile. So I cannot wait to see. Not only
And Maria was okay with that.
Oh well, it
No.
works. No, she wasn't. But it all works so completely rapidly that you don't notice it. I don't know what a Beto shuffle is, but apparently it's in the musical, so somebody's got to do it. The song has elements of rock. It's got a lovely rock chug to it. But it's got elements of the Spice Girls to it.
Oh wow!
And it's a bizarre amalgam of a lot of different stuff. And at the heart of it is Victoria Wood.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't put those three together, but that's what this song is. But yeah, it's a lovely routine. I just wanted to explain exactly what the derivation of it was. Not a lot of editing to it.
Yeah.
But the things that have been changed are Chloe's lines.
Oh, right.
When I originally designed the song, I needed a female voice as the instructor, and Maria came in and read it, and she read it in a Victoria Wood style. So you got certain cadences in there, and that changed an awful lot of the dialogue. There's a moment where where the instructor says, "Oh, love, pop it back in." Because she's had a wardrobe malfunction.
Right, yeah.
And she said, "Oh, didn't you know?" It's big enough to have its own postcode. So there's a lady who's come adrift, but then she turns to Clive and says, "Clive, there's no need to be that energetic." Reminds me of the pendulum on our Deirdre's hall clock. So clearly there's another wardrobe malfunction there too. So Clive has issues with his shorts are too short for a start.
Oh god, yeah.
He's probably wearing sweatbands. And
Looked like a tennis player from the 80s.
Yeah,
or
kind
70s.
of that. Yeah, but even shorter. I think, oh no, this can't. So there's a lot of embarrassment around that. Also, the fact that I've been at classes where this has happened, and I've fronted classes where you ask people to take a lovely big breath at the end, just to, and there's usually a fart because people have kept it in for the whole of the. for the whole of the 45-minute class, and suddenly there's and breathe,
Release.
And it comes like a bellow from the distance, and people fart within this. No one says anything, of course, because we're British. So there's a fart at the end, and also there's a joke that there's a smoke alarm, and the fart doesn't set off the smoke alarm, but it sounds like it does. Explaining jokes is one of the most torturous things because you've gone through this.
Especially that, it sounds like it's really good to be a visual thing as well.
Yeah. The whole it's tough to show you this as part of a podcast because I want you to see it. We also Maria was very instrumental in saying, well, how do we stage this?
Yeah, I was just about to ask about
because
that.
usually the instructor faces the people who are being drilled and doing this damn Zumba class. And so you have a choice there. Do you have it on an angle, and so you can see the instructor, and has the instructor got her back to the audience? But Maria came up with a device of doing it, which I've never actually seen, but you'll go with it. If you go to a rehearsal room, there's a mirrored wall. Yeah. So we now have the mirrored wall as the audience. So both people are facing, and she's looking. I don't know how. Again, this is complicated for Chloe because she's going to have to address people
whilst looking
in a supposed mirror image.
Yeah.
So she's got to fix positions in the audience as to where it would rebound, so she can see the person in the mirror, and there's got to be that illusion as part of it.
I suppose that's quite an interesting concept as well, because if you're in a rehearsal space where you've got that, and normally if you're in a dance studio, for example, you will have those mirrors a lot, and obviously. The performers could get very rigid with that choreography of I need to be looking at this fixed point. Yeah. The issue is that when you set things on a stage generally, especially when you're doing backstage or you're teching or whatever, you'll be able to put like little markers, and if you've ever seen a show and you've never done this, you'll know that there's like little tiny bits of LX tape that basically are markers for where the set's going to be.
And you hit your mark.
And in this situation, they've obviously got to use like the theatre they're performing in as their reference point and be like, oh, okay, I need to be looking here, here, or here. And that I guess that will come in the rehearsal process, that they'll rehearse that visual cue of where that person is. Yeah. And like you say, if the audience is seeing it as if they are the mirror, they'll hopefully see the performer, Chloe's eyes, looking at where they need to go.
It's going to be
where
vital.
It equivalently would be. And I think... what kind of aspect of the song? Because obviously, if Chloe's narrating it, she's not singing it. What aspect is happening in terms of like her physicality? Is she doing it with them, or is she just? So she's got to have loads of energy, and you need that performer to really be quite physically fit and quite comfortable running, jumping, and speaking all of these lines all together.
Imagine how complicated that's going to be for Chloe.
Yeah,
because
she
has to be all the energy. She has to nail the sight lines of things she can't see. And she's got to fit all the words into every single gap.
And not be broken off by the audience's laughter.
No.
Yeah.
Good luck. I mean, I think it's going to be one of the hardest, but hopefully it's going to be funny. I think it'll be funny anyway, but the problem is it's such a hard number to actually produce and perform for the girls as well. It's a really hard song. There's harmonies in there too. They're going to forget very quickly how funny this song is. And I think it's going to be the one they hate. And it's going to be such a tough routine to nail that they're going to have to repeat it over and over again. And the law of diminishing returns with comedy is never more apparent than when you're rehearsing it.
Yeah.
You know what it's like. You've poured your and it just feels like there's no reward to it because the director's constantly saying, no, you have to look here. The jokes have gone.
Yeah.
By the time you've done it for the 15th time, you've stopped finding this funny a long time.
The dress rehearsal generally for those kind of numbers. I mean, I've done a few comedy roles before, and when you're doing that in a dress rehearsal when we did Maiden and Dagenham.
Yes.
And I played Chubby Chuff.
Yeah.
When I was ironically the thinnest I've ever been.
Yes. Yeah, you weren't chubby at all.
A fat suit.
Yeah.
That, the way I tried to keep that fresh for me was I went off and I ad-libbed loads.
Yeah.
And I said some really awful, disgusting, funny things.
Which were mostly kept in.
Well, they didn't really have a choice. And the difference here is that, like you said, it has to be quite rigid and structured because Chloe's lines are coming in at specific moments. The singing, obviously, of the performers who are doing the exercise. They'll have to physically get used to doing all of that. And as you say, when you're doing that in rehearsal, there might be some laughter. There's some moments of laughter during the rehearsal process from some of the cast. And I know that when we were doing Priscilla, I came into the show a little bit late, and I was, with my ridiculous laugh that everyone who's listened to this podcast will now know, just suddenly burst out laughing, and everyone else is like conditioned, and they're like, oh, "That's not funny anymore."
No.
But that's the thing, isn't it? Is that you get into that dress rehearsal, you're kind of going, "Oh, I'm really sick of this." Then bam, opening night, audience laughs, and you relax into it and you enjoy it, and then you can kind of let the muscle memory kick in.
Yeah.
Is that what you're hoping that Chloe will do? Is that she'll have quite a bit of a slog to get through that rehearsal process, but once it's in there and once she knows, I'm looking here, I'm doing this at this moment, hopefully when the audience come in and they react in the way that you want them to. Yeah. And I'm guessing in the read-through, that was kind of...
Oh, the read-through was hysterical for this one. Yeah, but again, it's the first time people had heard it, so you get the laughter. They'll never laugh at it the same way again. You get this law of diminishing returns. Yeah. But the point is that because we realised that Chloe was actually going to be... This is an extraordinary part to try and do. I mean, she's got to have comedy timing, she's got to be able to sing, she's got to be able to dance, and she's got to be able to act. All within this one number. We thought, what a waste. What a waste of a character. So we created a position for her in Act 2 where she could, relax a bit and enjoy a song. And at the beginning of Act 1 where she could bring the audience into it because we knew she'd have to be quality. We couldn't just have someone come in and do that number. We thought, it's got to be more for her.
So did it start as a cameo role then?
Yes.
And then it was very much... It sounds similar to what you did with Harry. Yeah. In that he was kind of just like there as like a counter to George, like a shadow.
And we built and built.
Yeah, but then with Chloe, is it kind of you realised, okay, well, if we break away from the family a little bit and we've got this sort of like character who's a bit more fresh and vibrant, and it sounds like that character is thrown in to disrupt the establishment. Yeah. And is that to cause conflict and drama and sources of... And if I know you, there's a lot of double entendres in there as well.
Of course. No, she's there as a mucky slapper. Right. It's I do love writing those. In the same way that Victoria Wood used to. Yeah. And that element has pervaded the whole writing process, really. Go where the joke is and make sure that lands.
So did it all start from writing Pump It Out and going, right, this is this character, she's just this kind of energetic, totally opposing to the rest of the cast kind of character that's bringing everybody together and making them do something they don't want to be doing. And then you went, you know what, I can flesh this out and she can add more drama in other scenes.
No. Pump It Out was... It's a song I dreamed in its entirety.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it came fully formed. And it just so happened that it fitted the musical really, really well. Yeah. This isn't like the normal songs I write. Usually the songs have very intricate chord structures. My songwriting heroes are people like George Gershwin and Cole Porter, Irving Berlin, Jerome Kern, from early on in the 20th century. Real classic standards, and I adore those, especially when they're sung by people like Ella Fitzgerald. This has nothing to do with that. This is like a Slade down, bam, ba, da, 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 and that was the riff that came through. It's got a Led Zeppelin vibe to it, which is crazy to look at my musical and see on the guitarist's instructions, a la Led Zeppelin, because that's how it is. It's bum and Smoke on the dum 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 dum.
Just dum, dum, dum.
Well, the riff for this is dum dum da 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 dum. It's not the way I write at all.
It sounds like it's going to be something that the musicians will really actually enjoy because it'll be a bit more kind of like upbeat rock and just a bit more of a variation. I'm guessing because you said that there's a lot of musicality that is repeated through the piece.
Yeah.
You know, the Yorkshire born and bred kind of
Yeah.
the melody through that. Is this so wildly different that it just completely
This is a one-off.
takes you to a different place?
Yes,
Yeah.
this has nothing to do with anything else. And you say the musicians are going to love it. Yes, but the MD is going to hate it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're the ones I like the most.
Yeah, because one of the hardest things. I did a musical called Calendar Girls.
Yeah.
And one facet of that show is that songs will be split into 2 lines, and then you'll have a scene of dialogue which is underscored, and then another 2 lines, and so the story carries on being propulsive that way. And they're so hard because you have to time the lines in order not... If they run short, then you end up with a pregnant pause at the end of it. And if they run long, you've missed your cue.
And you need vamps galore.
Safety bars, everything. And I was... This is the exact opposite of the kind of songs I like to write. But yet it popped into my mind, and just suddenly I had to write the thing down.
I think thematically as well, it wouldn't make sense for you to have like spaces where there's kind of vamps and pauses and things like that, because that doesn't fit tonally with Chloe's character.
No.
If she's this regimented, you said Nazi, I'm going to say, if she's this like drill sergeant who's very much like, you have to do it this, it sounds like in the musicality of it, you've also weaved that in as well, so there's her character really showing, even though she's not singing.
Yeah, she also counts in when because she'll and 7, 8, bitch. So she'll be counting in when the orchestra have their next cue.
Yeah,
and that's the MD's job to
go off.
Bear in mind, with the way we're staging this as well, Chloe has her back to the musical director, so she can't even see her. They are, as the staging is at the moment, they are back to back. How are we going to do it? I have no idea. I just know that my director, Neil, will know exactly how to do it.
There'll be a monitor, surely.
Okay. Great.
But to be fair, it sounds like you're giving that kind of... I don't know the word, but not control, but you're giving that authority, let's say, that agency. Yeah. That's a good word.
Yes.
Word that Rich has used to describe this musical quite a bit. It's all about agency. Sounds like Chloe's really got that. Whoever's performing as Chloe, which at the time of recording we don't know, because the auditions are on Sunday. But by the time you listen to this, we'll probably know who it is.
We will know who it is.
We will know who it is.
Yeah.
Chloe, the performer, is going to have to be really confident in what they're doing and really energetic, and really this is gonna hopefully make the audience go, ooh, this is different.
I hope the whole musical has that aspect to it, because it isn't like any other musical. I've looked around and tried to find anything else which vaguely resembles it. Little Shop of Horrors is close in certain parts of the tone, but again, I don't know what the director's going to do with the tone. Yeah. There may be a shift in some way. All I've heard is the lines read out. Who knows what the visual aspect's going to add to these things? It's a real voyage of discovery. But Pump It Out will probably stand as a standalone number, whatever its position in the musical, really. It's great.
And I think that's the best time for us to hand it over to Pump It Out so that you guys can listen to it. Before we do that, obviously, we've got to remind everyone to subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. If you want to learn more about By George, head to www.richsykes.com.
I can also add that tickets will be going on sale very shortly for the actual show. So if you want to come and see it, it's in September. It starts on the 13th of September, and works its way through for about 5 days. So if you want to come and see it, come and support, then it's at the Lawrence Batley Theatre in Huddersfield.
Cheers, Rich.
Anytime.
Until next time.
Just to tell you about the clip, the person who will be singing on this clip is a lady called Alicia J. Brady, and she came up and she did this song for me. But I'm helping out with the Chloe aspect as well.
Excellent. Right, let's hear Alicia sing Pump It Out.
Here
or speak Pump It Out, I should say.
Enjoy.
Cheers.
Ready, everyone? Ready, Janet? Big day next week, isn't it? Is the dress still tight under the arms? Sean will never notice. He's a bit of a bloater himself, isn't he? Right, ladies, and Clive, let's do this! Now remember, if you feel the burn through it. Punch through the pain, you'll get the gain. If the fire alarm goes, ignore it. They're doing safety awareness in Studio 3. Right, usual warm-up, calf. How's he chafing? Yeah?
Go and stand by your man for as long as you can. Get your fellas feeling jealous, it's all part of the plan. If you're stressed or depressed and it's all about him, never mention all your tensions, get yourself to the gym. I'm pumping out.
Low impact, girls. And Clive.
Pump it out.
Don't forget to breathe. Pretend you're alive.
There's a diet, you can try it for a brand new you. You've got red days, you've got green days, and you're always blue. A vigil on the treadmill's your adrenaline fix. You'll be trimmer, you'll be thinner, but you kill for a Twix. Pump it out.
Now, can you feel yourself losing that weight?
Pump it out.
No? Ramp to high impact. Come on. 7, 8.
Push it, power, thrust it, kick it, throw it, camel toe it, hop it, jerk it, bump it, twerk it, pump it out.
Shake it out. Not that much, Clive. Reminds me of the pendulum on our Deirdre's Hall clock. Janet, pop it back in. No, it came out while you were thrusting. Didn't you know? Really? It's big enough to have its own postcode.
We're the same, we all blame everything on bin fats, but the size of our thighs doesn't change where it's at. I would strut, but me boat doesn't sink with me rock. I'll tell you right, it's cellulite that's holding me back. Now pump it out.
Heel back now. It's hamstring curls.
Pump it out.
Right, another 8. Here we go, girl. 3, 4.
Belt it, jump it, belly dance it, beef it, buff it, beat or shuffle it, hop it, jerk it, bump it, twerk it, pump it out.
Just a suggestion. Next time, could you perhaps wear loose-fitting clothes for this class? If I had any loose-fitting clothes, I wouldn't need the chuffing class.
It's hard to shimmy with a busted size. One jumping jack and I got back with super guys. A grapevine step and thrust without our bras will likely mean that Clive will see our cha-cha-chas. When frustration gets you hot, come and give it all you got. Pump it out.
Pump it out. Pump it out.
Turn your bitter into sweet with the movement of your feet. Pump it out. Pump it out. Pump it out.
Back we go. 7, 8.
The mood looks good if you're 7 stone, but if you pump, you gotta pump it out alone. If she tell me to merengue straddle once again, me bits will still be wobbling during you.